Hey guys, what's up? So we're going to be checking out the brand new APNX V2 case. Full disclosure, I've already taken this case for a test drive, and I have to say it's my new favorite case. So for today, we're going to be talking about everything that the case has to offer. Its cooling capabilities, the measurements, the possibilities for custom builds, and so on and so forth. And we're also going to be making a quick build in it so that you guys can see what it can look like with a basic build. So let's go. So let's talk about dimensions. The case is 366 millimeters deep, 500 millimeters high, and 306 millimeters wide. Let's start disassembling the case. It's super quick and easy. We start off with the top panel, and at the top part we have these two thumb screws at the back. And all I have to do is loosen it up, and it pops pretty easily. So now for the main side panel, you just have this one thumb screw right here that's securing it. So now I just have to loosen that, and it'll also pop right off. Okay, now for the front panel, all right, I'm sorry guys, I'm getting distracted because my cats are destroying my diffuser. Excuse me. For the front panel, there's just these two screws securing it at the front, so we'll take that right off and pop off the front panel. You know what? There's two more screws here, so we'll just take these off, and then we'll slide the front panel off. Now that we have the four screws securing the front panel off, we can just slide this up and take it off. But before that, I want to show you guys how the other panels are secured. So you see that there are these mounting clips here. Now the mounting clip for the top panel is this one, and the mounting clip for the side panel is over here. And I don't know, I just thought that was really cool and pretty neat to see how the design process happens with these cases. We've got one more panel, the backside panel. This one just pops off. All right, we've got all of the panels off. There's so much to talk about. Another thing that I love about this case is just how open it looks with all the panels off. I mean, I could put my hand here if I want to install a radiator. I might put my hand here if I want to install an AIO or like just other fans. And I could even like fix up the power supply unit here or do some cable management without any obstruction at all, which makes it easy and such a delight to build out of. So this is cool. There's this cable cover right here at the top. So all you have to do is take off the shipping screw, and then it pops right off. There's a very strong magnet holding it in place over here. And then you can see the two grooves where the cables will, coming from the motherboard, can be routed. And if you want, you could even just slide this off so that it's completely out of the way. Let's take a look at the GPU Anti Sag Bracket real quick. So you can adjust the height of the bracket by loosening these two thumb screws, and then you can move it up and down. Then if you find the perfect spot, just tighten these two again. And you could adjust for distance this way, just loosen up this thumb screw. And if you end up having a longer GPU than expected, you could even adjust it a little bit by height, diagonally. While we're here, let's take a look at the front input outputs. We have two 3.2 USB-A, a USB-C, an audio jack, the power button. We have this magnetic front panel. The magnet is very strong, and once that's off, you have access to the dust filter. Now let's take a look at the fans at the bottom. The case ships with four 140mm fans. We have three fans at the bottom, one at the back. The three fans at the bottom is protected by this fan grill, and this fan grill is secured with one screw here at the back if you want to get access to the fans at the bottom. Okay, now is a good time to talk about my favorite part, cooling support. For fans, you could fit three 120s on the side and two 120s up top. Or you could fit three 140s on the side and two 120s up top. So at the bottom, I mentioned you could fit three 140s, and obviously you could fit three 120s, but you can also fit two 160s. Radiator support, you could fit a 360 up top and a 240 on the side, or you could switch it up and do 360 on the side and 240 up top. For the bottom, you can technically fit a 360mm radiator at the bottom, but that's going to depend on the motherboard that you have because it could cover up some of the PCIe slots at the bottom. For all you custom loop builders out there, I was able to fit a 420mm radiator on this side, and this is how I did it. So what I did first is I made sure that the fans is installed at the back of the radiator, like so. So it's gonna look like this. It's gonna be fans and then radiator. And with this installation method, I was still able to put all of the panels in, no problemo. Now, the reason why I did this is because in this area right here at the back, the radiator is not gonna fit, like so. It's not gonna fit, but these fans do fit here at the back. And that's because you have all these obstructions right here at the side, and that's why the radiator is not gonna fit, and there's also this. So that's why you have to install the fan at the back first and then the radiator. So I decided to put the front panel and the top panel on so you can see that this is what it looks like. So for AIO support, it's gonna be the same. I actually filmed something before, and that was before I fixed the lighting in my studio, so the clip is gonna look different, and I'm gonna play that clip for you guys right now. Now let's talk about motherboard and cooling support. So this case can fit up to a standard ATX motherboard. Now for cooling support, most of you guys will probably use an AIO. Now for that, you usually have to mount it at the top of the case, but the problem with that is the radiator and the fans can get in the way of the motherboard. It can hit the RAM, it can hit the heatsink, and it can create a tight gap, making it difficult for you to pass through your power supply cable. This case completely eliminates that problem because you can just install your AIO behind the motherboard over here on this case, and you can fit a 360mm radiator either horizontally at the top or vertically on the side. Going back to the horizontal configuration of the AIO, with this you can fit two 140mm fans on the side, nice for that extra airflow. And I want to mention this nice little clip that comes with the case. It helps keep the tubes from the AIO nice and compact and organized. I want to show you guys the benefits of being able to mount the fans and the radiator behind the motherboard with this case. So with that, let me just put the top panel back on. It's pretty secure, and you can see right away that the radiator and the fans aren't blocking the motherboard, so you don't have to worry about the RAM being too tall or the heatsink of the motherboard getting hit. So that's pretty much it for cooling support. But before we end that, I also want to talk about the fans at the back. You can fit one 140 or two 120s. Before we move on to the next segment, I wanted to give you guys some measurement of the clearance. So for the back here, you'd have about 65mm of space to work with the fans and the radiator. And for this And for this area here, you have about 135mm of space to work with. Now, obviously, if you go for 120mm fans, you'll have a little bit more than that. By the way, guys, keep in mind that this is obviously with the cover off. So if you put the cover on, you're not gonna have any space down here. All right, so now let's take a look at the back. So this is the storage drive case at the bottom. We have the power supply on top. You could also swap them if you like. You could have the power supply at the bottom and the storage case on top. We also have this fan hub right here. And if you don't like it horizontally, you could have this in a vertical position. And if you want to have more space in managing your cables, you could just take this part off, which is secured by these 4 screws. So I'm just taking this whole thing off. By the way, if you're wondering why you'd want to change the orientation of the hub from horizontal to vertical, it just gives you more options of attaching the wires. Yeah, so see, now you can see all the extra space that I have so I could work on the cable management. Bean, are you listening? So if you're like me and you're not going to use this storage drive case, you could just take this off and you'll have so much more space to work with your cable management or any water cooling support or basically whatever tickles your fancy. But if you end up using it, your cable management will be secluded to this area right here, and you'll have about 95mm of space to work with. What you think about that, Bean? Now, I don't know if I mentioned it yet, but the V2 case is compatible with BTF motherboards. Now, I'm not sure if they're also familiar with Project Zero or with stealth motherboards from Gigabyte, but I do have a Project Zero board, so we could go ahead and test that out right now. And if you look here, you may not be able to see it clearly, but there's this back plate, and what we're going to do is we're going to unscrew it and take it off so that the port at the back of the motherboard will be visible so that we could attach the cables properly. So to take off this backplate that I was telling you guys about, there are 5 screws that you need to unscrew. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And once you unscrew them, this is actually just one piece. You'll be able to take off the backplate. Okay, so I got the 5 screws out, and now I'm just going to pop off the backplate. Hopefully you guys can see it. There we go. You know what we should have done? I should have taken this off. I'll take it off first. So I wasn't going to use the storage drive case, so I took that out, and now we could take off the BTF backplate that I was talking about. So with the backplate off, you could see how everything is open, and now you could just put the connections right through these holes. I have good news, guys. So the Project Zero motherboard fits into the APNX V2 case, which is great, and that makes me think that the BTF motherboard and the Project Zero motherboard have the same connection layout at the back. I don't, however, have a stealth motherboard, so Gigabyte, you know where to find me. Anyway, let's go ahead and install this onto the case. Okay, so I've got the Project Zero motherboard installed. Now let's take a look at the back connections. And as you guys can see, the back connections fit perfectly. And yeah, so that's the back. So that was a quick preview of the APNX V2 case. Actually, through the magic of editing, we're traveling through time, fast forwarding, and now the build is done in this case. To be honest, I had a complete segment plan for a quick build in this case, but I ended up getting some of the parts later than I anticipated, so I had to rush that part. So check out this build, you guys. Super clean and no wires inside. This one is an all ROG BTF build. It has the ROG Crosshair x870e Hero BTF, a Ryujin 3 AIO, a 5090 Astral BTF, and I'm using the V-Color Xfinity Manta memory kit. Now this video is focused on the V2 case, but if you want me to do a quick overview on the ASUS BTF stuff, let me know. So that ends our quick preview of the APNX V2. Now I'm gonna leave you guys with some B-rolls with the PC turned on, and I do have some exciting news. I had so much fun building out of this case that I decided to do a custom loop with it. Now that's going to have its own video, so be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so that you guys can watch it as soon as it drops. And I'm gonna leave the links down below if you wanted to buy this case, and if you want more regular PC content, check out my other socials.